there is a problem, and then there is your reaction to that problem, and then there is a judgment of your reaction to that problem. Let me explain. One of my students was really struggling with the GMAT. She was spending a lot of time, but it was taking her a lot more time than expected. So she was really struggling to get a hang of the GMAT, especially the quant section. And then she was feeling very anxious about it all the time. Now, if you are anxious, you are not in an ideal mindset to learn. Essentially, you are stressed, you are anxious, so your mind is not functioning at its optimum capacity. As a result, whatever you could have learned in, let's say, in 1 month or 2 months, you would not be able to learn that much. Probably your efficiency is, depending upon the level of your anxiety, your efficiency is 50%, 10%, could be anything. Right? The more the anxiety you have, the less is your capability to learn. And the less you learn, the more reason you have to be even more anxious. Right? Because if you're not learning much, then you have all the more reason to become anxious. So it's a loop, right? So you have some problem in your life and then you are anxious. So you are anxious, that makes you not address the problem. Since you're not addressing the problem, you become even more anxious, and then it goes on and on and on. But in her case, there was an even deeper problem. So she used to call herself weak. Why? Because she was anxious. So basically, she would look at the problem that she was not getting the quant section. She would become anxious, and then she would observe that she was getting anxious, and then she would be like, oh, I'm so weak. I can't even handle this much level of pressure. I'm becoming so anxious just because I'm not able to handle the quant section. I'm so weak. I can't even handle this much stress. So there is a problem, and then there is reaction to that problem, and then there is judgment of that reaction. And it was all negative, right? So there is a problem, you are reacting negatively to that, you are becoming stressed, you are becoming anxious. You could have chosen to become curious, you could have chosen to become energetic, motivated, to give your best, right? That's a choice you have. Of course, that's not an easy choice to exercise, because when we encounter problems in our life, we are used to becoming a part of the problem. So we essentially become a part of the problem, right? So there was a problem. Let's say I'm not able to solve these questions. And now I become anxious, I become stressed, so I'm not even able to learn, in a way that now I have become a part of the problem. There is that problem, that difficulty level of quant section, and then there is another problem, my anxiety. So we are very used to becoming part of the problem. Why do we become part of the problem? Because we focus so intently on the problem. We are not focused on the solution. We are focused on, oh wow, such a great problem this is. And the more we think about the problem, we're just being consumed by it. Essentially, we are just being consumed by negativity. Oh, such a big problem. How will I overcome, and all that. And then we are anxious, we are stressed, so that's why we are not able to respond in an effective way. And then in her case, and of course in a lot of cases, and with me also it happens, then there is a judgment about that reaction. So I'm anxious, and now I'm judging myself that, oh, I'm anxious about these little things in life, and how will I handle bigger things in life? And then I'm calling myself weak. So there is that deep negativity within me. So how do we address such a thing? So we have to start, I believe, from the deepest level. And that's what that student shared with me, that she started by taking care of that judgment. So she stopped calling herself weak. Okay, so she started going to a therapy, then she realized that why is she calling herself weak for being anxious? Essentially, she reasoned out that, yeah, a lot of people get anxious. So what? I'm not weak. I'm just a normal person. So she released that judgment. Okay, now, one thing that I would say is that even if a lot of others don't become anxious about these things, so what? I'm becoming anxious, so I have a choice to get into self-judgment and call myself weak for being anxious, or I can choose to just address that problem of anxiety. Right? I don't need to get into self-judgment. That's a choice I have. So, first of all, she released that judgment. Now, since that level of negativity was not there, she could actually deal with the problem of anxiety. So, she did whatever she did. The one reason she was anxious was she was focusing a lot on the problem and thinking, oh, when will it ever get over? So instead of just taking baby steps to solve the problem to become good at quant, she was constantly worried about building the whole house. That, okay, when will that happen when I get that desired score? Right? This is what the problem is, that we are so worried about building the whole house that we are not putting the bricks. If you're just putting the bricks, then we can keep putting the bricks, and eventually over a period of time we'll have a house. But we are not even making effort. Because we are drowned in self-doubt, we are drowned in that anxiety and stress. Okay, when will this happen? So once she tackled that judgment, she could tackle her anxiety, and once she tackled her anxiety, she could actually solve the problem. So I think that's an insight, that there is a problem out there, and then our reaction contributes to that problem, and then we may have a judgment of our reaction to that problem that may even further contribute to that problem. So probably to address that problem, we have to start with that deepest level, release that judgment, and then deal with anxiety. Deal with anxiety could mean simply being aware that, okay, let me just give my best. That's all that is in my hand. And if I keep giving my best over a period of time, I'll get closer to what I want to achieve. And once that anxiety is not there, then we are in a position to actually solve the problem at hand. That's all I had to share in this video.